Okay. Okay.
Okay, so welcome to Weekly Progress, Part 2. Unfortunately, most of the work I done cannot be shown, but we can take a look on the list. First of all, I add an ID for the names for 13 or 14 different classes. So whenever I want to print the name of the object, these guys have the ID for a dialogue, because my game support different languages all the time. So anything that I print on the screen should have all the languages that the game support. So a single string cannot represent all of that. So I made something called a dialogue class to support the different sizes of the as you can see, this one is smaller. The different sizes of the font, the color of the font, the language itself. So each object in my engine now hold a key to represent its name. So whenever I have like an inventory and I want to read the names and the description of the item, it can be represented in all languages now. So actually this task took me around 8 hours, because I needed to make the user add these keys. So if I load a game in here and load a map, and I want to add the key description in here, I can add it and check. This is a feature I worked on. If the key exists, like rock DK, it will tell me, yeah, it exists in the dialogue dictionary or list. So if we go here, go to the dialogue, you see here we have Walker dialogue key. Where is the key? Is it inside the game? Yeah, see? So this one is in the campaign, and it says it exists because it checked the current loaded campaign and it checked the game, because each of them have their own dialogue keys. Any questions so far?
No.
So this, unfortunately, I will test it later. I don't want to test it, it's boring. So I'm not going to test it next week, depends. So these three features, I fixed all the files manually that hold the data, and I implement the interface to say this object have this feature, the extra data. So we talk about these, made the name, key, and description. And yes, each one of them, each object have the name itself and the description as a dialogue. Actually, this is a string. I use it like the database ID, what they call it, reference ID, something like that. And in the game file as well, I can add them like in here, and I can check if it exists or not. So if I write one of them exists, it should tell me, yeah, it exists. And I can see if they have one like this one, it loaded and tell me, yeah, I already saved the key for this object, but I didn't add them to the objects. Yeah, when I test the game, I need to add all these keys to all of them. Very boring work. Actually, just to make a map to show it to you today, it took me like 40 minutes. And I need to edit it as well. It's just the game design take a lot of time. I have a problem with
You don't have a designer?
I'm not a game designer, I'm a programmer.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I asked if you don't have a designer.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's kind of hard for me to use the engine I just made. It's kind of weird.
Because you have a lot of info to add, and you should try to make it, I don't know, maybe, for example, if right now you give me your engine, create a game, I'm not sure if I will be able to do that. Because you have a lot of information to add and stuff like that manually.
If I'm going to let the team, if we became a team, and I wanted my team work on the engine, I'm going to make a series of tutorials, and I will let each member work only on a part of the game engine. Because it's kind of hard to teach the team about everything on the engine at the beginning. So we will work through one part at a time. It will take a long time, but I believe it's worth it if we make a team that can make games.
You really need a team to work on this, because it's a lot of work to do. Yes. And I think it's very hard for you to do all the work by yourself, no?
Tell me about that. It has been like, I start working at this at 2015 June. So it's almost 3 years. It's just 3 years, 3 months to 3 years. Anyway, go ahead.
A lot of time.
Yeah, but actually I made a lot of complicated system, like the map alone, the map editor. It took me for this page took around more than a year to make all the data.
I understand. It's a lot of work that you have done there.
This page and this map editor took me a long time too. It took me around 4 to 5 months. And it make compressed data. Each cell only takes 16-bit, 2 bytes. So I fixed the inventory. It took me a while, but I fixed it. And I made it, this bag is separated from the inventory. So if I make a treasure chest in here, I will reuse this bag to drag the items, and it should be easy to drag the weapon from here to the other bag and drop it. And I could give my user a weapon, and I can, this weapon have 2 types of attacks, first attack and the secondary attack. It should shoot 3 bullets, but because I didn't calculate the bullets position perfectly, so the bottom bullets immediately hit the ground. It's kind of silly. I made the stones in here to give the effect that they are on the background, but they move way too fast.
Can I see?
So we will adjust the values and give it another try.
No, it's okay. You can see the difference. That's more than enough. After that, the balance is the work for game for end game right now for testing.
Yeah, but this feature I didn't made it the last week. I made it long time ago. The thing is, I have 2 types of objects. One that the player can interact with, and one that for visual effects. So this effects only work with mini objects, the objects that designed for visual effects. So let's try to make it move slower and make it -2. Actually, let's make it like, the further the stone, it should move slower. No?
Yes, further, slower, closer, faster. You had the other way.
Yeah. Um, and should it be negative or over the? Yeah, it took me some time, and I'm not sure because if I'm going to make it the fastest, the closest, then the first one, the first layer, this is the closest, should be the biggest number. So let's make it 0.1. I know my talk is before the video. And this one,
Yeah.
9. And this one, 8. 7. 6. 5. And let's make sure all of them are negative.
It's funny because you say 5 and I see 6.
Yeah, I know. Uh, I c-
Alright,
you could listen from me through the YouTube video to get the voice, but then I will hear you. Yeah.
yes, it will be hard to communicate, so it's better. I understand what you're saying, and info is just to confirm. Video is just to confirm what I see.
Yeah. So let me move the map to the game. So this is the map in the game engine or the game project. And my brother is playing with the drill in his wall. So best timing. And this one from the map simulator. So let's remove this file, replace it, and run the game. He actually, we fixed his TV on the wall 2 weeks ago, but it became too high, and now he's
It's good that it didn't fall down.
yeah, still too fast. Just the perspective is way off. So as I said, these kinds of things, an artist will be much better suited to plug the numbers. And they start to
Yeah,
move.
no, it's good. It's already better. And you have 7 layers in the game. You won't have 7 layers or 8. I don't know.
I can add as much as I want. But the problem is the map is too small, so it's kind of hard to demonstrate this effect. I downloaded this
Yeah,
background. Let's try again. This time I'll make it even smaller. So this one is, let's decrease it by 0.5. You will hate me for that. Wait. I don't know if it will move 0.05 pixel or not, but oh, I forgot to save the map. You see, I saved the campaign in here, but it's saved inside the game editor, but it didn't save it as a file. I must save it in here. Now it will become way too slow. Because I slow it twice. I need to add a feature to save the maps from that page. No, still look weird. I don't know what's going on.
No, something is not safe well because.
Something is not saving, yeah. Let me close it and say save. Open it again. Check the setting. I hate this crap sometimes. I mean, I'm trying to make it an easy way to cancel your work if you don't want to save it. But because of that, if I forget to save it, won't work. Copy, paste. So sometimes it gets annoying, but the engine done nothing wrong. It's just just me. Nope. But the effect is there, but nope, it's still too fast. I don't know what to say. If we have a full screen, the effect won't be there because the camera must move to have this effect.
Yeah, but for example, in the end, you have to move very slowly. The last player has to move very slowly.
Yeah, I plugged very slow numbers. Am I putting the...
Anyway, that's not a programmer stuff. I think it will be more like designer stuff. So don't worry about that too much.
It is.
With the problem, see it later.
It is, but if the problem is at the end, I might be the one who will be designing as well.
Maybe you should switch the numbers. I don't know. Maybe you should try a few of them to just put very low numbers like 0.0001 to see what's happening. Just one layer.
Sure, let's do that. To be
The
honest,
middle one, for example. Not the further one, just the middle one.
this one, okay. I will make it the first one. Save. 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 Is that enough? Okay. Delete the one from the game and copy this one. I just want to make sure he's not copying an old file too. So I'm going to press copy with the mouse. Great. Nope. Oh, maybe it get casted into integer. Let me check. Where is that code?
Wait, move a bit if you could move a bit around.
Okay.
Because I thought I saw. No, it's okay, no problem.
I can move a little bit more, no problem. The number might get casted into integers, so all of them became 1. Let me...
Yeah, but there is still a small difference between front and the left and then.
It should be, yeah, it should not be an integer. Only God knows where that code is. It might be either in the map class. Yeah, it must be in the map class when it throw the objects. So this is the back object, and this is the mini object, and we are looking at the mini object. So this is the zoom factor, and this is the speed, and it all get casted into integer, but after all the calculation. So if the calculation is not that big, it will get rounded into the same value.
Yeah.
But why is there +1 in here? I want to remove the +1 for... Oh, if it is 0... Oh, if it is 0, it will screw up everything.
That's why I suggest you, if you work with speed, try to make the numbers like 1000 and stuff like that, not 0.10. And after that, divide it directly in the code after you make all the mathematics in it.
That's a good idea. Never thought about that.
Because it's easier to say this is 1000 speed and this is 0. 1000 being the normal speed. Or you can use sliders or stuff like that to adjust speed, but
Yeah.
I will also suggest something smarter to not do to not have to not do that for each layer. You can make put the speed on the farthest layer away, and it will calculate automatically the speed from the other layer for the other layer, suggesting that the distance is equal and stuff like that.
The thing is, my principles for this engine is to give the users the free ability to do whatever they want. They might want to make the world look different and weird and magical, so some of the objects go to the right and some of them go to the left when you move. So they do some
Yes,
kind
that's
of.
true.
So that's why I give the ability. I'm trying to give the ability in the game engine to be as customizable as possible. That's why I don't do these kinds of calculation tricks. Because I believe thanks for Unity it's so easy. A lot of people make games but using the same assets, same calculation, and they all look the same.
That's true.
But your idea about multiply it by 1000 is actually not bad.
Can you do something else? For example, to make pre-written codes. For example, if you want to do that, you just check something and it will do that automatically. Yeah. You can do that manually. Stuff
Do
like that.
do what and check it automatically?
The calculation for each layer and stuff like that. Yeah, that's another level we are talking about. That should be in a second version of the game engine, right?
Yeah, in the design verse we should manipulate with that, but if I cannot do it now, can I do it later?
Anyway, try to work with big numbers and divide them in the end. So this way you won't have problem like this one. You set up a very small number and it's get converting rounded to an integer and.
The reason I rounded to integer to remove the black lines effects, and yet sometimes it happens. It's so annoying. You see the white lines below?
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried several times to remove this crap. But yeah, as I said, there is a way to make objects farther away move slower, but we are doing it in a very bad way. I might change this one into rectangle F. Remove the I, the int. Come on, rectangle F. You don't know rectangle F? Give me a break. Hooray! XNA doesn't deal with rectangle Fs in the draw. Oh well, I will put this in my task list and try to do it later, because even if I multiply it and divide it by 1, at the end the integer values will move by 1 pixel again. So I need to make it deal with float somehow.
You can try to overlay with 1 pixel everything. So
yeah, I can put the values to
you want to have one
represent.
close to another, but one pixel over other. So
Yeah, I can put a value to represent one fraction of a pixel. Like if it get to 100, it become 1 pixel. So there are ways to do tricks with this. So let me add it down a little bit, like try to fix the issues with mini objects when they move in the background and the map back layers. By the way, there is the boss layers too in the front. We can place objects in the front and make them bigger and they move in different speed. Like if a player in the jungle and the trees cover him, we can do that too.
That's nice.
If I go to the map,
Yeah, you showed me last time with the fence.
the fence is a similar idea, but the fence is a background. But in the objects, if we go to the maps, you will see there are layers for the background and layer for the boss ground. And that's it. That's go ahead.
No, yeah, I saw what I was saying. I saw it in the lake. I understood.
Good. So this is what I done last week. As I said, I spent a lot of time on the dialogue keys and on the inventory. I fixed all the problems with the inventory and now it's working. Hopefully next week we will do more work. Any more questions?
No, I don't have questions.
Well, I
Just
shifted.
thinking,
Go ahead, go ahead.
if you could have someone to help you with progress with something else, in the meantime, you fix the back, and you switch after that a part of the work already done, like the big work, not the details. And after that, you work on details. It will help you a lot because
Yeah, I learned that by the hard way. I learned that in the hard way. At first, when I started working, I cared about the small details a lot, but later on, I was like, screw it. Let's make the foundations. The big details, when I work on the game, I will do that.
yeah, but going back, it's kind of hard, you know. Time is passing, and remembering where you put that stuff, it's not so easy. So,
That's why I learned how to make my code as consistent as possible to figure it out easier. Actually, I returned and fixed one of the sections, and it was one of the earliest section in my code, the animation section. I deleted the whole thing and started over just to make it consistent with the rest of the work. And it's worth it.
for example, I was working on a code with the last days, and trying to fix something, and it didn't work, and in the end, I had to redo with the code to make it work properly.
This is bad.
Yeah. It was just because it was targeting something there, and you know, I don't know if I think it's the same. I didn't code too much in C, so I'm not sure if it's the same system. But you have layers, no? You have object and object and object.
Okay.
And, I was trying to select an object, and I was selecting the object and stuff like that. I couldn't figure it out where it was wrong, so I deleted everything and erased everything.
Before, there's a lot of features in my map editor. Before, if I want to move an object, I must delete it and start it over. Actually, before that, you cannot delete the object, so you need to delete the map and start it over.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
so I add a feature to delete the object by right click on it, and it will ask you, do you want to delete it? Then I add another feature to move it. So if I select here, I want to move objects, not to place new objects, I can move them.
Yeah, that's good. That's a big.
And I add a feature to place objects on the floor. It must have a name. I must select one first. So here it will determine where is the closest floor. So if I put more floors,
Yeah, that's nice.
Why?
That's good.
Sometimes the floor is screwed up and you cannot place them, and only God knows why. I usually when this bug happen, I restart the whole thing because I have no clue. I believe the focus is screwed up. It gets focused on something. It's just stupid.
You, th- you just thought that only God's know why it's not working. Or you think the God is a programmer, or the God created the code and not.
I have no clue to be honest. So if I say floor, it will check the closest floor to the mouse. And there is one that I can place them in the blocks. So every 48. Or blocks based on the size of the block. So if we put money, let's go to the item, select money, like Super Mario. Give it... and this is the tag. It increased the attribute money by 1. So it already do that for us. Because this is the default tag of the item. And if I say block, I can place them together as a block. But if I say free, you can put them as close as much if you want. So yeah, there's few features like these. So fix the y-axis to make them on the same height. Fix them on the x-axis to put them on the same x. Stuff like that.
Yeah, nice.
So I believe that's good for weekly progress, even though this is a show off for features that I made them like a year ago or something, but it's good to show how the engine works little by little, I guess, in a weekly progress.
Yeah, I was thinking comparing the way you design the map with some graphic designing programs. So
Yeah,
I was thinking of that.
my brother used Price and he made a few 3D backgrounds for my game jam, which I screwed up heavily. It's called Criminal Select. Let me go and fetch it up. My programming, Zanga, the criminal choice. Content, images. Oh, these are in X and B. Give me a second. Let me figure out where did I put the images. Now this is the game engine. My brother have some skills in the 3D design. He made this one, but not for the game. He made this one long time ago. Let me find his work. Oh yeah, here you go. So it's kind of look like 9094 or something work, but yeah.
It's cool for isolated game. For
So these images made in the single day for Game Zanga for Game Jam. You know what's a Game Jam, right?
no.
A Game Jam is a contest, a type of contest that people gather in places or online. If it is free, there's no prizes. And try to make a game based on the conditions and rules in the 3 days only. So you have like 3 days you need to make a game. So everyone entered using a game engine except me. I'm using my own unfinished game engine.
That's kind of nice.
So there are a lot of game jams
But
around the world.
it's good thing for listing.
Exactly. Some people
Even
now know.
if you don't win, uh, you will have a big step because you are the guy with hit. Uh,
Exactly. That's why I participated, and this year I will participate again. It's at
can,
September.
can you reopen please the image?
Sure. Which one?
The last one.
The one with
Medium, I think.
the buildings.
Yep, no. This one. You see, you have the space between the buildings. When you move, actually, you have to change the angle for that. You have to create something for that. Can you rearrange in your code? This will be full.
I
Okay.
could, but I didn't add this feature. I will add it when I start to deal with stairs. This is one of the features that like 2 years ago I was like, let's do that. Then I was thinking, only uh, certain type of games need this feature, and this is an open 2D games engine. So when I make that game, I will make that feature.
Okay. Because anyway, if you take the side of the building and you just change the width of it, it will change the angle automatically. You'll have the constant angle change. So it's just with combination will change.
Yeah, I'm thinking to do that in different ways, but I'm not sure. You see, the tills can be solid, but as a square. So the whole object is solid. So this thing is completely solid. So I need to find a way either to add solidity as an angle or add a way to say this thing is solid 45 degree. So it's only on the diagonal. This line represents the solidity. Objects can have a solidity where as a square like this one. So if I go to the edit and go to objects or creatures and select them and go to the viewer, it's hard to see, but this is the red line in the object, and I can draw it. I can say I want to change these values manually. Where is the collision for the wall? Or I can draw it. So now only this side is collidable. So there are a few tricks to do that. Either if I add that map, let me add that image for a second to show you how smooth this engine is. Ha. Backgrounds. Oh, I didn't make this one expandable. So let me add. Let's go to the file. This is one of the features that I want to add like 7 years ago to expand the viewers. This one. So we add this one. You see, this one is not expandable. I was like, I need to add a feature when I make this resize the window. This one will resize with me, and it should be easy, but I haven't done it yet. So let's remove this image, or let's make a new map. Let's call it T2. Or what's the size of the image? Only God knows. Open with is 2088 divided by 48 is 60. Come on, you cannot type. By 30. So 60 by 30. Add the map, script wizard, view, background, and we add this one. So this is the map, and let's show the tribute. So if I'm going to add a wall, I can add an invisible wall here. Invisible, I said, invisible. So now the player cannot go over this line. But in here, I can add objects that doesn't have it have smaller rectangle shape, so he can go around. But with this, if I do that, the character will get stuck to the wall in here. Do you see what I'm saying? And you need to move him slowly, right up, right up, right up. So I need to make a special way to make him go on a smooth line, like walking a stair. So it needs some programming to do that.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I might use the region and use a script. I'm not sure how to do it. I might add a special tag for objects and make stairs that make the players go smoothly with it. It depends. So this is a collision. This one, say this tail is collidable. That's mean the whole rectangle.
Yeah, I understand. It's not.
But this one show the area where it collide. So it depends on the object. Some objects doesn't have collision, like a switch. Oh, it does. Sorry. Silly me. Why did I add collision to the switch? This is really stupid. I mean, the switch shouldn't be collidable. So yeah, I need to fix the switch. Yeah, next week I will work on switches and I'll try to make it with script stuff to create items. Any more questions?
No, for the moment I don't have any question. I was thinking on stuff and I'll think for more stuff for next week.
50 switches, 51. Area 51. Thank you for coming, and hopefully we will see more stuff next week.
Thank you for your presentation.
And no problem. I will stop the video here.